is some tension on the set of The View, which should come as no surprise. And don't take what I'm about to say the wrong way, ladies. I'm just speaking from my own personal experience here. But anytime you put a group of opinionated women in one setting, there is going to be an argument. There's going to be an emotional catfight, and that is exactly what happened yesterday morning with our favorite yentas on The View. Believe it or not, I actually found some common ground, or at least I thought I did. I actually found myself agreeing on something with my three beauties and the toxic whoopee cushion. Oh yeah, and I can't forget about Big Red, Joy Behar. She never ceases to amaze me. I am constantly impressed with how Joy Behar manages to balance that Superdome on her shoulders. Much like the real Superdome during the COVID season of 2020, the Superdome on the shoulders of Joy Behar completely empty. Yesterday morning, they opened the show by serving the lonely women in their audience a nice polished turd. Now, normally, the yentas, they serve their lonely women the standard turd cooked medium rare to ensure the fragrance fills the room. Yesterday morning, they did their best impersonation of Danielson and polished the turd real nice. For a second, it almost looked appealing. I thought I was going to watch a segment of The View and fully agree with them. Now, of course, the segment rapidly descended into chaos and propaganda. They opened the show yesterday morning by talking about the Republican debate on Fox News Wednesday night. All of the yentas were in agreement. They all agreed that the Fox News debate was an unmitigated disaster. I believe Alyssa Farah Griffin, better known as the AOC wannabe AFG, I think she called it a dumpster fire. AFG knows a dumpster fire when she sees one. 5 days a week, she is baking in one. But I happen to agree. The Fox News debate, it was a disaster, painfully boring television. I watched the entire thing. I was not impressed with any of the candidates. Whoever is advising Ron DeSantis, they should be fired. This dude has a resume that's damn near impeccable. He was the only candidate on stage that can let his record speak for itself. Every time Ron DeSantis made a good point, he would stare at the camera and give this inauthentic, ingenuine smile like he was trying to be Miss America. Florida is the #1 state in the country. Fuck's wrong with you, dude? Mike Spence, he was a complete waste of clean oxygen. Mike Pence is about as entertaining as watching a dog lick its nuts. Chris Christie, he is clearly being advised by Brian Stelter. He's trying to increase the stock of Dunkin' Donuts. If I were moderating that debate Wednesday night, I would have called up the forklift and carried Chris Christie off stage as soon as he made that lame-ass joke about Donald Duck. Orange man is ducking me because he's scared. We can't call him Donald Trump anymore. I call him Donald Duck. Yeah, scared. The only thing afraid of Chris Christie is a scale. I thought Vivek Ramaswamy, I thought he regressed a bit. It felt like he was trying to play the role of the nice guy. Hey guys, let's hold hands and sing I'll Make Love to You by Girls to Men. Nice guys don't win elections. Hell, nice guys really don't win anything. You gotta have a little bit of asshole in you. But anyway, the yentas, they were absolutely right. This debate was a disaster. However, that's where the agreement ends. You know, I had such high hopes here. After watching the first minute of this segment, I thought we were making some real progress. I thought I was going to remove my mask and enjoy the ambiance of the toxic mouth farts. Unfortunately, that was not the case. This segment quickly turned into your typical segment of The View, lies, propaganda, the classic shit sandwich, where the dorks in the media take a tiny, tiny grain of the truth and they serve it between two lies to make you believe it. We're going to start with Alyssa Farah Griffin. Now, believe it or not, AFG actually fulfills prophecy. Back in 1987, the great Freddie Mercury, he predicted the arrival of Alyssa Farah Griffin in a song titled The Great Pretender. AFG is the great pretender. She's a pretend conservative. She pretends to be normal. One of the complaints that the yentas had about the debate Wednesday night was the candidates constantly talking over each other. I couldn't understand them. They were all speaking over each other. It was so triggering. How did our lovely women address this problem? For the vast majority of this 10-minute segment, they constantly talked over each other. Another complaint that AFG had about the debate was the fact that none of the candidates addressed the latest propaganda related to Donald Trump. Orange man bad. Over the past week or so, the mainstream media, they have been running with another fake story about the Orange Man. Trump was talking about General Mark Milley, the man responsible for turning the most powerful military in the world into a diversity cereal of Fruity Pebbles. Allegedly, on January 6, 2021, or maybe a day or two later, Mark Milley, he made a phone call to leaders in China. Now, I don't know what was discussed on the phone call, but the Trumper, he seems to believe that it can be considered, I guess, an act of treason. He claimed that Mark Milley was sharing information with China as to what the president of the United States was thinking. Now, this was back when we had a real president, an actual president. This was back when we had a president that didn't require the assistance of Rosetta Stone to form complete sentences. Trump, he released a statement that said this act was so egregious that years ago, the punishment would have been death. You already know how the mainstream media twisted this statement. Trump is threatening to harm a military general. He should be charged with domestic terrorism. I'll let Alyssa Farah Griffin show you exactly how the media baked this statement into a nice piece of propaganda pie. Watch for yourself.
You have to take Donald Trump on. This past week alone, he came out, he said that my former boss, outgoing chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, should be executed. The most senior military official in the country, a four-star general who served this country in uniform, should be executed purely because he politically doesn't like him. How is that not brought up?
Just to be clear, Donald Trump never said that. This is why people don't trust the mainstream media. This is why ratings for The View continue declining. Alyssa Farah Griffin, she just lied on national television, and not one woman sitting on that panel corrected her. And that was not her only lie either. AFG also claimed that Donald Trump could not beat John Biden, but she knows who can. Yeah. AFG has all the answers. According to her, there is a charismatic candidate that will destroy Johnny B. Biden in a general election. Well, Casey, who is this hero? Who is this powerful leader that can save America from the Biden fungus? According to Farah Alyssa Griffin, the best person for the job used to have the God-given ability to be a birthing person before Don Lemon eliminated her prime years. Nikki Haley. Excuse me? Come again? Nikki Haley? The same Nikki Haley that is polling so low, her lack of popularity can't be measured? Nikki Haley couldn't beat Mike Spence in a general election. Hell, I think she would struggle against cackling Kamala Harris. At least Kamala smiles every once in a while. Nikki Haley, she seems to be emulating Caitlin Collins. Katie Roo! Katie Roo! Constantly lecturing the audience with a vicious scowl on her face. But the stupidity and propaganda got worse. Does it get worse? During the debate, the T in LGBT was brought up. Now, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that people running for president have to address a letter that makes up less than 1% of the population. I mean, I don't see these candidates being asked about the Hindu community. I don't see them being asked to address the problems that immigrants face when they immigrate here from Siberia. The media, they don't care about those people. They are only concerned with the few thousand T's. During the debate, the discussion was focused around public schools offering gender-affirming care to children, mainly without parental consent or even notifying the parents. I think it was Vivek Ramaswamy who said that this is more of a mental condition in children, not necessarily a medical condition in children, or it was something to that effect. Either way, they were talking about children. They weren't talking about adults here. That's important to remember with what I'm about to show you, because once again, the mouth farters, they spun the issue to fit their narrative. Roll the film.
There was a part that was really hard as someone who believes in the things I believe when they all spoke about trans people. That actually almost made me emotional watching, because it's clear to me that not everyone on that stage is an evil person. They don't understand. And it shows me they don't know one single trans person. Yeah. They've never met anyone. And what's happening is you've got a couple, which is, so there are 0.5% of all US adults are trans. Yeah. 1% of that 0.5% regret some kind of transition. Those people are in some kind of activist mission. So the only trans people, these people on this stage, have probably met in their lives is someone trying to convince them of something.
So why do they keep bringing it up?
First of all, who in the poo are you? Who was that? I always forget her name because she rarely adds anything to this show. She's framing this conversation like the candidates were talking about adults. They've obviously never met trans people before. They should hire me as an advisor because I used to aspire to be one. I like how Big Red asked the question, why do they keep bringing it up then? What? Seriously? Do you really gotta ask that question? We have to keep bringing it up because you're trying to indoctrinate our children. If we don't bring it up, we're going to have public schools without restrooms and litter boxes in classrooms because kindergartners are identifying as pussycats. After consuming and filling her cushion with these toxic mouth farts for about 8 minutes, Whoopi Goldberg was finally ready to explode. She had enough toxic air in her cushion and she was ready to release her fragrance to the world. She ended the segment by giving a stern lecture to Alyssa Farah Griffin. Now keep in mind here, AFG dominated this segment, making invalid points and speaking words that no one gives a shit about. I actually appreciate Whoopi Goldberg here because she finally made AFG shut up. I want you to pay close attention towards the end of the clip. Apparently, producers, they were also tired of smelling AFG's mouth farts. Apparently, producers were tired of watching this disaster of a segment unfold. AFG, she goes to speak. Production, they start playing the music to get them to commercial break. AFG becomes visibly agitated at this cue for her to shut her damn mouth. She gets angry because they are trying to get to a commercial break so ABC can try to make some money off of this dump. Watch it for yourself.
It's my problem. You know, when people say, well, what have you done? I wanted to know what she done, really. What policies at the UN, because that's her...
She was a successful two-term governor.
She was okay. She was an okay... Wait a minute. Okay. She was an okay governor. She wasn't a great governor. And you may think she's the cat's meow. I do not. Well, no, so that when I listen to her, I want to hear somebody say, and here's what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. Here's what we're going to do.
Did you guys all watch? I thought she did that.
I don't feel that. I'm also doing it in contrast to Trump, you guys. When you say she's a hypocrite, well, I'll still take her over a Donald Trump.
It was a Republican debate.
I listen to Republicans. Listen, I've been sitting and listening to you, and I've been quiet for everybody. So I'm just saying.
No, you do listen to everyone.
I try.
You do.
You know, and I didn't hear the thing that I needed to hear as an American.
Yeah. Which was?
What are you going to do about this and this? I don't want to know about the war.
What's her position on Ukraine? I don't know what it is.
She's phenomenal on Ukraine.
Yeah,
she's the only person one of the only who didn't disgrace Ronald Reagan's legacy. She wants to help them win the war against Russia. She wants to stand up to China. She talked about education policy. You can disagree, but she offered substance. She had statistics. The biggest issue I hear...
Go ahead, finish your sentence.
Never mind.
Finish your sentence.
It's fine. I had a lot more to say, but...
I have been covering this show for years. That was the best clip I have ever seen from The View. They should do that every time AFG tries to speak. Just cue up the music, cut to commercial break. This show is a disaster. I don't understand how they still have an audience. Hell, I don't understand how they have sponsors. Please stop sponsoring this show. Make it go away. I watched that entire segment. You know how much I learned about these Republican presidential candidates? Nothing. This was a complete waste of 10 minutes. When they weren't talking over each other, they were spreading lies and propaganda. AFG reminds me of the hot girl in college. You see her across the classroom, she's the prettiest girl on campus. Eventually, maybe you see her at a football tailgate or maybe at a party on the weekend. You got a couple of drinks in you, so you finally work up the nerve to approach her. She opens her mouth and she talks herself into being an ugly duckling. But give me your thoughts on The View, the disaster. The View, they react to the Republican debate by spreading lies and propaganda. I thought the best part was the whoopee cushion silencing the Farah Griffin. Other than that, this segment was a complete waste. How does this show have an audience? Who is watching this garbage? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate you guys and your continued support. Follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84, and I will see you guys tomorrow.